I'm Sandy, registered dietitian with Flik Hospitality Group. Welcome to my kitchen. Today we are going to be making a cauliflower Parmesan soup. And you're probably going to think, oh, that's creamy and luscious and full of calories and high in sodium. Well, actually, we're going to do a little bit of a fun twist on a traditionally heavier soup and sodium laden soup today with the cauliflower. We're going to use a surprise ingredient, cannellini beans, in there to help with that creaminess. This recipe actually doesn't have any heavy cream in it, any milk in it whatsoever other than cheese. So, are you with me? Let's get started. We are going to first roast our cauliflower because you want that rich nuttiness of the cauliflower to come out, and the caramelization in roasting the cauliflower will help this. Cauliflower is high in fiber, low in calories, low in carbs, great vegetable, and we're going to use this as the center of our soup today. All I'm going to do to clean cauliflower, if you've never done it, we're going to clean away the base, and then we're going to cut off all the stalks, all the crowns, so to speak, from the top. And then I like to use everything except for the green leaves here because I don't want to waste anything. Plus you're going to puree it up anyway, so it's okay to use that stalk, which sometimes people don't use. So that's all I'm doing here. This is removed, core, leaves removed. I'm discarding those. And now I'm left with a beautiful crown of cauliflower here. And then all I'm gonna do is literally, there's a little bad spot in here. It's like that black spot. I'm just gonna cut that away and discard those. I also have my oven preheating to 375 degrees, so that way I can actually roast my cauliflower first. All I'm doing, if you can see me, I'm literally taking my knife, I'm putting it into each stalk of the cauliflower to loosen it from the actual base. And you'll see here, now you're left with all these nice little pieces. So I'm going to continue doing this. So this is done. I'm going to move it to a sheet pan. I literally just have a silicone baking sheet on here. You can use aluminum foil, or if you have a nonstick cooking sheet, you can put it on there too. All right, now we are going to drizzle with 2 tablespoons of olive oil. If you have canola oil, that's totally fine to use. I prefer olive oil, but that's just me. So 2 tablespoons of olive oil. And then we're using Italian seasoning. If you don't have Italian seasoning, that's okay. You can make your own Italian seasoning. Basically, it's just oregano, it has basil in there, it also has some thyme, some anise seed, etc. And you can find that conversion. I'll include the ingredients in the recipe. So if you go back to the beginning of this video, the ingredients to make your own Italian seasoning blend will be there for you. All right, so we're gonna use 1.5 teaspoons of this Italian seasoning blend. So that's 1.5. And then all we're doing is we're gonna use our hands and we're gonna toss to combine this. Literally just wanna make sure it's evenly coated. And then we're gonna toss it in the oven for 20 to 25 minutes, just until it's lightly, the cauliflower, not everything else, but the cauliflower is lightly golden brown. And then we're gonna put all the rest of our ingredients together and finish our soup up. Welcome back. Our cauliflower has been roasting for 25 minutes and I let it cool, but you can see how beautiful those colors are, nice and golden brown, ready to go. So now we can put our ingredients and the rest of them in the pot, ready to go. So I have a stock pot here, or just a nice deep pan. I'm going to heat this up and we are going to saute our onions. I had a shallot in the fridge I needed to use, so I'm adding the shallot too. You can totally do that. I have a 1/4 cup of garlic. It's a lot of garlic, but I love garlic and it adds so much flavor to the soup. If you don't like garlic, it's not your thing, it's okay. Feel free and omit the garlic here, not a big deal. So we're going to add into our pan here 1 to 2, I like about 2 tablespoons of olive oil into the pan. And then we're gonna saute all of our veggies and the garlic in here. I'm going to add the garlic second because you don't want that garlic to burn. So into the pan here, which is pretty much hot, I'm going to add my onions and my shallot. And then I'm just gonna let this kind of start to cook down. In addition to that, while that's kind of starting to cook down, we have vegetable broth and our cannellini beans too. I have some white wine here. I also have some smoked pepper, which is my favorite type of pepper, which you can get in the grocery store in your grocery store seasonings aisle, but regular pepper will do. I just like the flavor of that. So we're gonna let this start to caramelize here, and then we're gonna deglaze with some white wine. Okay, so the onions and the shallot have been sweating in the pan. And you'll notice before I didn't mince the onion or anything like that. I literally just kind of chopped it because we're gonna puree this soup anyway, so you don't really have to, focus too much on that. So now I've added the garlic in here. And you can see there's some caramelization starting on the bottom here, which is fine, and that's what we want. I turned the heat down a lot, like to low now, because I don't want my soup to be brown. I still want that white color to pop through and not to be super brown. And the caramelization will do that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm gonna add the white wine. We're gonna deglaze the pan, which is just gonna pull those flavorful bits of caramelization off the bottom. Beautiful. All right, so now it's gonna pull all those caramelized bits off the bottom. I'm gonna go ahead and add my salt in at this point in time. It's 1.5 teaspoons of salt. I'm using a kosher salt. And then I'm adding 1 tablespoon of that Italian seasoning we had from earlier. Remember, we put it on the cauliflower. Now we're gonna add some more into the soup. Feel free and add more if you like, it's not a problem. I just don't want it to be completely overwhelmed with the Italian seasoning. I'm gonna give this a stir. And it smells so good. All right, so now I'm gonna add in my cannellini beans. I have washed and drained them. If you haven't had a cannellini bean before, they have a higher starch content, so they're creamier in texture compared to like a garbanzo bean, which is very nice for this soup because we're not using any dairy regarding milk and cream as a creamy based soup would typically have. We're literally only using the Parmesan cheese for that creaminess, right? So these beans will help to counteract that without the added calories in there, which is pretty neat. All right, so I've added my beans. Now I'm gonna go ahead and do my pepper in here. You want about a teaspoon of black pepper. So I'm gonna grind that up in here. And then we're gonna use some vegetable stock. I'm making this vegetarian, but you could easily use chicken stock if you wanted to use that too at home. And if you don't have any of those, you can use water. It's totally okay. You'll just get more flavor from the stock. So I have 4 cups of chicken stock in here. Vegetable stock. We were just talking about chicken stock. I'm adding it into the pot. I'm also going to add in my cauliflower at this point. Beautiful. And then I'm going to add in 2 cups of water because I didn't have enough of my vegetable stock. So I'm gonna add in 2 cups of water. And then all you're literally going to do, you're gonna let this cook for about 20 to 30 minutes. You want everything to be tender and pretty mushy, right? Because we are going to then puree it. So I'm gonna let this simmer away on low heat. You don't want it to boil, just simmering. And then in 25 minutes, I'll check it and see where we are, and we'll be back to finish pureeing it. So our soup has been simmering for about 25 minutes, and it's all nice and cooked down, nice and reduced. And now it's time to add the Parmesan cheese, which I'm super excited about. And I'm gonna show you a little trick. I'm gonna add sour cream to this. I know it's not typically in this recipe, and we've been talking about no added extra dairy other than cheese, but I'm going to show you how to do this. You can also use Greek yogurt or you can omit it. Depends on how you would like to do it. So adding my Parmesan cheese directly into this mixture, and then I'm also going to be adding in my sour cream. I have my blender ready to go, so we will be blending this soup as well once I stir this together. And you can see here, like once you add in the the cheese and the sour cream, it completely changes the color just a little bit, and you can see you're getting that creaminess here as well. And that's what we're looking for. So perfect. I'm just gonna let this kind of melt in here for a couple minutes, and then we're going to blend. So ready to blend. I'm going to take my hot soup and start incorporating it into my blender. You are probably going to have to do this in batches, which is fine. You just want to make sure you do equal parts of liquid to the solid, so that way you're not sitting there stuck with just the solids at the end and no liquids to go and make it blend. All right. And if it starts to look like it's curdling, that's okay, because when we blend it all together, it's going to pretty much emulsify all of this. I also, because I'm doing this in batches, I have my jars, so I'm actually going to be taking this camping with me this weekend, so I'm going to put them in some ball jars, mason jars from there. All right, lid on, towel on top of my blender. I don't want it splattered everywhere, and here we go. All right. Perfect. Okay, so now it smells delicious. You can see how it's equal consistency. It looks beautiful, all pureed and ready to go. I'm just gonna start pouring this into my jars, and then I'll continue the batches until we're ready to go. And that is it. I like to serve with a little bit of sour cream on top of it and some additional Parmesan cheese, as well as some parsley too. So cheers to this, and please follow us for more videos like this on our YouTube channel. Make sure you click subscribe so you can constantly get the most updated videos. But I'm hoping this healthy, hearty soup gave you another idea of how to use beans and less of a cream when you're making a creamy soup during these colder months. Take care. Bye.